Bible Discourse 73. Jesus' agony in the Garden of Gethsemane and his arrest. When Jesus had spoken these words, he went forth with his disciples over the brook Cedron, where was a garden, into the which he entered and his disciples. John 18:1. Then cometh Jesus with them unto a place called Gethsemane, and saith unto the disciples, Sit here while I go and pray under. And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Then saith unto them, My soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry ye here and watch with me. And he went a little farther and fell on his face and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt. And he cometh unto the disciples, and findeth them asleep, and saith unto Peter, What, could ye not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray, that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. He went away again the second time, and prayed, saying, O my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me, except I drink it, thy will be done. And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. And he left them and went away again, and prayed the third time, saying the same words. Then cometh as he to his disciples, and saith unto them, Sleep on now, and take your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of the Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. Behold, he is at hand, and that doth betray me. And while he yet spake to Judas, one of the 12 came, and with him a great multitude with swords and staves from the chief priests and elders of the people. Now he that betrayed him gave them a sign, saying, Whomsoever I shall kiss, that same is he. Hold him fast. And forthwith he came to Jesus and said, Hail, Master, and kissed him. And Jesus said unto him, Friend, wherefore art thou come? Then came they and laid hands on Jesus and took him. And behold, one of them which were with Jesus stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck a servant of the high priest and smote off his ear. Then Jesus said unto him, Put up again thy sword into his place. For all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Thinkest thou that I cannot pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of the angels? But how then shall the scriptures be fulfilled, that thus must be? In that same hour, and Jesus to the multitudes, Are ye come out as against a thief with swords and staves for to take me? I sat daily with you teaching in the temple, and ye laid no hold on me. But all this was done that the scriptures of the prophet might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples forsook him and fled. And they that laid hand on Jesus led him away to Caiaphas, the high priest, where The scribes and the elders were assembled, but Peter followed afar off into the high priest's palace and went in and sat with the servants to see the end. Now the chief priests and elders and all the council sought false witness against Jesus to put him to death, but found none. Yeah, though many false witnesses came, yet found they none. At the last came two false witnesses and said, "This fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and to build it in 3 days." And the high priest arose and said unto him, "Answerest thou nothing? What is it which these witnesses against thee?" But Jesus held his peace. And the high priest answered and said unto him, "I adjure thee by the living God, that thou tell us where thou be the Christ, the Son of God." Jesus said unto him, "Thou hast said, nevertheless I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power and coming to the clouds of heaven." Then the high priest rent his cloth, saying, "He has spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now ye have heard his blasphemy. What think ye?" They answered and said, "He is guilty of death." Then did they spit on his face and buffeted him, and others smote him with the palms of their hands, saying, "Prophesy unto us, thou Christ, who is he that smote thee?" Now Peter sat without in the play palace, and a damsel came unto him, saying, "Thou also wast with Jesus of Galilee." But he denied before them all, saying, "I know what thou sayest. I know not what thou sayest." And when he was gone out in the porch, another maid saw him and said unto them that they were there, "These fellows were also with Jesus of Nazareth." And again he denied with an oath, "I do not know the man." And after a while came unto him they that stood by and said to Peter, "Surely thou also art one of them, for thy speech bewrayeth thee." Then began he to curse and to swear, saying, "I know not the man." And immediately the cock crew. And Peter remembered the word of Jesus, which is said unto him, "Before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice." And he went out and he wept bitterly. When the morning was come, all the chief priests and elders of the people took counsel against Jesus to put him to death. And when they have bound him, they led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate, the governor. Then Judas, which had betrayed him when he saw that he was condemned, repented himself and brought again the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders, saying, "I have sinned in that I have betrayed the innocent blood." And they said, What is that to us? See thou to that." And he cast down the pieces of silver in the temples, and he departed, and went and hanged himself. And the chief priests took the silver pieces, and said, "It is not lawful for to put them into the treasury, because it is the price of blood." And they took counsel and bought with them the potter's field to bury strangers in. Wherefore that field was called the field of blood unto this day. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, "And they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of him that was valued, whom they of the children of Israel did value, and gave them for the potter's field, as the Lord appointed me." Matthew 26, 36 to 27, 10. When Jesus had spoken these words, he went forth with his disciples over the brook Cedron, where he was a garden, into which he entered and his disciples. John 18:1. Then cometh Jesus with them up to a place called Gethsemane, and saith unto the disciples, Sit here while I go and pray there, pray yonder. Matthew 22:39 to 40. Parallel reference. And he came out and went, as he was wont, to the Mount of Olives, and his disciples and followed him. And when he was at the place, he said unto them, Pray that ye enter not into temptation. Luke 22:39 to 40. Jesus, along with the disciples, entered into the garden over the brook, small stream, and his disciples. Pray that ye enter not into temptation. Jesus do not want to be surcharged with the temptation of harmful evil impulse. He wanted that the free will of his disciples be not swayed and influenced by the insinuations of Satan. He should be surcharged with a divine will. And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Then saith he unto him, My soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry ye here and watch with me. Matthew 26:37 to 38. Jesus took Peter and the two sons of Zebedee. Jesus' human nature was temporarily tormented by the fearsome prospect of crucifixion. Jesus said, So great is my trial that my heart is sorely tested. I am so weighed with sorrow that death here and now would be a welcome release to my soul. Wait here and pray with me. Inwardly watch with intuitive eyes of Christ's consciousness. The satanic delusion may not enter us unnoticed. Be vigilant. With the sword of wisdom, slay at sight an encroaching mental agent of evil. And he went a little further and fell on his face and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it is be possible, let this cup pass from me, nevertheless not as I will, but as thou wilt. Matthew 26:39. Parallel reference. And he went forward a little and fell on the ground, and prayed that if it were possible, the hour might pass from him. And he said, Abba, Father, all things are possible unto thee. Take away this cup from me. Nevertheless, what I will, but what thou wilt. Mark 14:35 to 36. And he was withdrawn from them about a stone's cast, and kneeled down and prayed, saying, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. And there appeared an angel unto him from heaven, strengthening him. And being in an agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was as it were great drops of blood falling down to the ground. Luke 22:41 to 44. Jesus entreated God, God, you can do anything. Remove this cup of trial, as it is very unbearable to my consciousness to experience. In spite of this, your will be done. And he cometh unto the disciples, and findeth them asleep, and saith unto Peter, What, could ye not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Matthew 26:40, 41. Jesus said, Simon, are you sleeping? Finding his disciples sleeping, he told them that you cannot muster your willpower for even an hour of prayer and of watchfulness with your eyes of intuition. You must not allow your mind to enter into satanic delusion. Your body consciousness and its habit of sleep is hampering your willingness. You must meditate and pray. You are yet to master your body. He went away again the second time and prayed, saying, O my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me, except I drink it, thy will be done. And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. And he left them and went away again. And he prayed the third time, saying the same words. Then cometh he to his disciples and saith unto them, Sleep on now and take your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. Behold, he is at hand that doth betray me. Matthew 26, 42 to 56 to 46. Jesus said, O my Father, if this cup of trial may not be taken away from me, I must experience it. Thy will be done. A second time and third time, Jesus returned to his disciples and found them asleep. And he came and found them asleep again, and their eyes were heavy. And while he yet spake, lo, Judas, one of the 12, came, and with him a great multitude with swords and staves, from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now he that betrayed him gave them a sign, saying, Whosoever I shall kiss, that same is he. Told him fast. And forthwith he came to Jesus and said, Hail, Master, and kissed him. And Jesus said unto him, Friend, wherefore art thou come? Matthew 26, 47 to 50. And parallel reference. And while he yet spake, behold, a multitude, and he that was called Judas, one of the 12, went before them and drew near unto Jesus to kiss him. But Jesus said unto him, Judas, betrayest thou the Son of Man with a kiss? Luke 22, 47, 48. Judas, having received a band of men and officers from the chief priests and the Pharisees, cometh thither with lanterns and torches and weapons. Jesus therefore, knowing all things that should come upon him, went forth and said unto them, Whom seek ye? They answered him, Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus saith unto them, I am he. And Judas also, which betrayed him, stood with them. As soon then as he had said unto them, I am he, they went backward and fell to the ground. Then he asked the heathen again, Whom seek ye? And they said, Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus answered, I have told you that I am he. If therefore ye seek me, let these go their way, that the saying might be fulfilled, which he spake, Of them which thou gavest me have I lost none. John 18, 3 to 9. Judas Iscariot, one of the 12 apostles, came along with a great multitude with swords and staves. He came from the chief priest and elders. He told them that I will give you a sign of kiss. You catch hold of that same person at once. Judas came to Jesus and kissed him by saying, Hail, Master. Jesus asked Judas to declare openly wherefrom he has come. Their divine friendship persisted even in the face of severest provocation. Adveshta sarvabhutanam maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirvahankaraha samad dukkha sukha kshami Gita 12:13 santushta statatam yogi yat atma dhrudha nischaya मयि अर्पित मनोबुद्धि यो मद भक्त समे प्रिय Gita 12:14. The sadhak who is not having hatred on all being, friendly and kind to all, devoid of ego and attachment, equanimity and happiness and misery, having patience, always contented, regular in Kriya Yoga practice, control minded, determined, devoted to me, and fully surrendered his mind and intellect to me. He is my favorite. Jesus called Judas as friend. He considered him as child of God, Son of Man being betrayed. Jesus means the divinity within him is being cheated. He says, I am He. That means the Christ consciousness manifested within this material body. He told the chief priests and elders that he was Jesus of Nazareth, for whom they were searching. If therefore you are seeking my body, let these my disciples go their way in freedom. Then came they and laid hands on Jesus and took him. And behold, one of them, which were with Jesus, stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck a servant of the high priest and smote off his ear. Then Jesus said unto him, Put up again thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Thinkest thou that I cannot pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels? But how then shall the scriptures be fulfilled, that thus it must be? Matthew 26:50-54. Parallel reference. When they which were about him and saw what would follow, they said unto him, Lord, shall we smite with the sword? And one of them smote the servant of the high priest and cut off his right ear. And Jesus answered and said, Suffer ye thus far. And he touched his ear and healed him. Luke 22:49-51. Then Jesus said unto the Peter, Put up thy sword into the sheath. The cup of which my Father hath given me, shall I not drink it? John 18:10-11. One of Jesus' disciples, Simon Peter, struck the high priest's servant and cut off his ear. The servant's name was Malchus. Then Jesus healed his wounded ear and admonished Peter, All that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Moments before Jesus fervently prayed and Father to remove the cup of suffering. Now his self-mastery fully re-established. He chided his well-meaning Peter, the cup given by my Father I should drink. Bhagavan Sri Krishna said, Yadrichaya chopapannam sargadvaram apavrutam sugina kshatriya partha labhyante yuddham idrusyam. Gita 2:32. O Partha, son of dispassion, you are fortunate because without any endeavor you got this righteous battle. The Kshatriyas who get this will be propitious, and this battle is an open door to heaven. Being a Kshatriya, you are very fortunate to be in this lot. The one who does not do yoga dhyana is Shudra in reality. The one who contemplates yoga dhyana to awaken the sleeping Kundalini is Kshatriya. When the sleeping Kundalini awakens and touches Mooladhara chakra, then he will become Kshatriya. Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita vatparaha vaisehi yasyendriyani tasya prajna pratishtita. Gita 2:61. So the sadhak should make the senses as a slave, be steady-minded and be absorbed in soul only with body and mind. He whose senses are subdued or tamed, his wisdom is pure and steady. In the same hour said Jesus to the multitudes, Are ye come out of us? Are ye come out as against a thief with the swords and slaves for to take me? I sat daily with you teaching in the temple, and ye laid no hold on me. But all this was done that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled. Parallel reference. Then Jesus said unto the chief priests and the captains of the temple and the elders which were come to him, Be ye come out, as against a thief, with the swords and staves. When I was daily with you in the temple, ye stretched forth no hands against me, but this is your hour and the power of darkness. Luke 22:52 to 53. Jesus said, You people came to take me as a thief with swords and staves. Daily I was with you in this temple. Now the karmically ordained hour has come. Now Satan could successfully assail me. This is the power of Satan, darkness, that is ignorance. Then all the disciples forsook him and fled. And they that laid hand on Jesus had him away to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled. But Peter followed afar off unto the high priest's palace and went in and sat with the servants to see the end. Matthew 26:56 to 58. Parallel reference. Then the band and the captain and the officers of the Jews took Jesus and bound him and led him away to Annas first, for he was father-in-law to Caiaphas, which was the high priest that same year. Now Caiaphas was he which gave counsel to Jesus that it was expedient that one man should die for the people. And Simon Peter followed Jesus, and so did another disciple. That disciple was known unto the high priest, and went in with Jesus into the palace of the high priest. But Peter stood at the door without. Then went out the other disciple, which was known unto the high priest, and spake unto her that kept the door, and brought in Peter. The high priest then asked Jesus of his disciples and of his doctrine. Jesus answered him, I spake openly to the world. I ever fought in the synagogue and in the temple, whither the Jews always resort, and in secret have I said nothing. Why askest thou me? Ask them which heard me what I have said unto them. Behold, they know what I said. And when he had thus spoken, one of the officers who stood by struck Jesus with the palm of his hand, and saying, Answerest thou the high priest so? Jesus answered him, If I have spoken evil, bear witness of the evil. But if well, why smitest thou me? John 18:12 to 16, 19 to 23. All the disciples abandoned Jesus and fled. Then they took Jesus to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and elders were assembled. Peter and another disciple followed Jesus. Peter stood at the door without. The other disciple was known to the high priest. She brought in the Peter. To their query, Jesus answered, I taught openly about my soul uplifting teachings to the world. Instead, ask them because they know what I said. One of the officers struck Jesus of his hand and told Jesus to answer the high priest as whatever he is asked. I have not spoken anything bad. Then why do you smite me? Now the chief priests and elders and all the council sought false witness against Jesus to put him to death, but found none. Yea, though many false witnesses came, yet found they none. At the last came two false witnesses, and said, This fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and to build it in 3 days. And the high priest arose and said unto him, answering thou nothing, What is it which these witness against thee? But Jesus held his peace. And the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee by the living God, that thou tell us whether thou be the Christ, the Son of God. Jesus saith unto him, Thou hast said, nevertheless, I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power and coming into the clouds of heaven. Matthew 26, 59, 64. Parallel reference. And as soon as it was day, the elders of the people and the chief priests and the scribes came together and led him into their council, saying, Art thou the Christ? Tell us. And he said unto them, If I tell you, ye will not believe. And if I ask you, ye will not answer me, nor let me go. Hereafter shall the Son of Man sit on the right hand of the power of God. Then they said all, then said they all, Art thou then the Son of God? And he said unto them, Yes, say that I am. Luke 22, 62 to 66 to 70. Nowhere in the Gospel it is recorded that Jesus said that he would destroy the temples. The Gospel, according to Saint Mark, for many bear false witness against him, but their witness agreed not together. And there arose certain and bare false witness against him, saying, We heard him say, I will destroy this temple that is made with hands, and within 3 days, I will build another made without hands. But neither so did their witness against agree together. Mark 14, 56 to 59. The chief priests, elders, and all the council have collected false witness against Jesus to put him to death, but found none. At last they found two false witnesses. This fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and to build it in 3 days. And the high priest arose and said unto him, Answerest thou nothing? What is it which these witnesses against thee? The high priest said that witnesses were against Jesus. But Jesus held his peace. And the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee by living God, that thou tell us whether thou be the Christ, the Son of God. Jesus said, Thou hast said, nevertheless I say unto you, hereafter shall I see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand power and coming in the clouds of heaven. Humbly and yet fearlessly, Jesus acknowledges he is indeed the Christ. Jesus said, If I tell you, ye will not believe, and if I also ask you, ye will not answer me, nor let me go. Hereafter shall the Son of Man sit on the right hand of the power of God. He told elders and chief priests that whatever I say, you people will not believe it. Remember that the Christ consciousness emanates from God. That is the principal working intelligence which activates and energizes all creation. The Son of Man in the clouds of heaven, thereby Jesus wanted to say that he has no need to impress earth dwellers into submission by such demonstration. God is embodiment of love. He suffered Christ to be crucified on the cross for humanity. God would rather send 12 legions of angels. He would not terrorize people into subjugation. The cosmic consciousness within him as the right hand man, Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness is hidden behind clouds or darkness. Jesus signified that after his earthly incarnation, he would exist not only as spirit but as a materialized form. Jesus told the chief priest that as Son of God, he had all power. He could abide as spirit, or he could materialize his body as Son of the Man or as Christ's body. Anytime, even after death from crucifixion. Then the high priest rent his clothes, saying, He has spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now ye have heard his blasphemy. What think ye? They answered and said, He is guilty of death. Then did they spit on his face and buffeted him, and others smote him with the palms of their hands, saying, Prophesy unto us, thou Christ, who is he that smote thee? Now Peter sat without the palace, and a damsel came unto him, saying, Thou also wast with Jesus of Galilee. But he denied before them all, saying, I know not what thou sayest. And when he was gone out in the porch, another maid saw him, and said unto them that were there, This fellow was also with Jesus of Nazareth. And again he denied with an oath, I do not know the man. And after a while came unto him they that stood by and said to Peter, Surely thou also art one of them, for thy speech bewrayeth thee. Bewareth thee. Then began he to curse and to swear, saying, I know not the man. And immediately the cock crew. And Peter remembered the word of Jesus, which he said unto him before the cock crow, Thou shalt deny me thrice. And he went out and wept bitterly. Matthew 26, 65 to 75. Even though in his hour of trial Jesus was abandoned by Peter and other disciples, they repented and atoned for their sin. Peter asked his persecutors to crucify him with his down and feet up for denying Christ thrice. As Jesus predicted, Peter was under the spell of satanic delusion. When the morning was come, all the chief priests and elders of the people took counsel against Jesus to put him to death. And when they have bound him, they led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate, the governor. Then Judas, which had betrayed him, when he saw that he was condemned, repented himself and brought again the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders, saying, I have sinned in that I have betrayed the innocent blood. And they said, What is it? What is that to us? See thou to that. And he cast down the pieces of silver in the temple and departed, and went and hanged himself. And the chief priest took the silver pieces and said, It is not lawful for to put them into the treasury, because it is the price of bread. And they took counsel and bought with them the potter's field to bury stranger in. Wherefore that field was called the field of blood unto this day. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, And they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of him that was valued, whom they of the children of Israel did value, and gave them for the potter's field, as the Lord appointed me. Matthew 27, 1 to 10. So they weighed for my praise 30 pieces of silver. And the Lord said unto me, Cast it unto the potter, a goodly price, that I was praised of all head of them. And I took the 30 pieces of silver and cast them to the potter in the house of the Lord. Zechariah 11, 12 to 13. Judas was overwhelmed by the guilt of his betrayal of his master. He was cast out of Jesus' company. It is recorded in the biblical book of the Acts of Apostles. Let their habitation be desolate, and let none dwell in their tents. For Psalms 69:25. Let his days be few, and let another take his office. Psalms 109:8. And Peter stood up in the midst of the disciples and said, Men and brethren, this scripture must needs have been fulfilled, which was the Holy Ghost by the mouth of David spake before concerning Judas, which was guide to them that took Jesus. It was known unto all the dwellers of Jerusalem. That field was called Akladama, the field of blood. Let his habitation be desolate, and let no man dwell therein, and his bisphoric let another take. Acts 1:15 to 20. End of the discourse.